My name is Kyle. I'm 35 years old and I'm an office worker. I have two precious kids and I work hard every day for them. Recently, something happened that involved the police. Now it's resolved and I feel relieved. But it wasn't just a minor incident. Don't you want to know about it? Let's talk about it. It was actually quite serious. The cause was my wife, Emily, and her affair partner. I never thought that the person I loved would cheat on me. And initially, I was shocked. It was more than just shock. I became distrustful of people. During that period, my distrust wasn't just towards Emily, but towards everything in the world. Emily and I have been together since college, and we could talk about anything. She was the most trustworthy person, and we shared our troubles and comforted each other. She was very important to me, so we got married after graduating from college. I managed to get a job at a fairly large company, so I thought Emily would feel secure, and that's why I decided to marry her. Emily always said she wanted kids soon, so I wanted to make that happen for her. But we had trouble having kids. We went to the hospital and got tested, but there was nothing wrong with either of us. However, we now have two kids. They are twins born last year. They were born in our 9th year of marriage. Emily always wanted kids early, but it was quite late from her perspective as she was past 30. I felt sorry about that, but when I heard that we were having kids, I was truly happy. Children are a blessing, so when they finally came to us, we both cried. You might think this is a happy story so far, but here's the real story. After the twins were born, things were hectic, but it was a happy time. The first time we went out to eat as a family of 4 was at a nearby restaurant. We were truly happy, but at that moment, I was suddenly punched by a stranger. I was panicked and didn't understand why a man I didn't know, whose name I didn't know, suddenly attacked me. All I could think about was protecting the newly born kids, so I desperately defended myself. Emily was holding the man down while trying to talk him down. A friend of hers, perhaps. But why was he here now? I couldn't understand why I was being attacked. After a while, some men around us restrained him. The restaurant staff had apparently called the police, and soon the police arrived. That's when the man started saying something incomprehensible.
You're the only one here who's not family.
I didn't know his face or his name, but I couldn't understand why I was being told I wasn't family. Everything was confusing, and in that moment, I realized something. If he said I was the only one who wasn't family, that meant the other 4 were family. That meant these children weren't mine. That thought scared me, but given the situation, it was the only thing that made sense. If these weren't my children, then this man must be Emily's affair partner. Could that really be true? Doubts and fears flooded in, and the situation was total chaos. After being punched by a stranger, I was silently thinking about all sorts of things. Then I asked Emily, "Emily, you know what's going on, right? What's this situation about? You were talking to that man like you knew him, right?"
I don't know him, that man.
But I couldn't believe her. "The police are coming soon. Stop lying and start talking." As I pressed her, the police arrived and came over to us. The police told us they would call an ambulance, and then they just silently stared at the man.
"You're wanted, aren't you?"
I was surprised by those words. What? Is that true?
No, sir. I'm not wanted.
"But you match the description of the suspect. The facial features, height, and clothing."
In the end, the 2 children and I were taken to the hospital in an ambulance. It was really pitiable for the children. Fortunately, I wasn't seriously injured. I had some bruises and cuts, but I was able to leave the hospital the same day. I thought it was over, but that was just the beginning of the nightmare. The next morning, when I returned home, Emily was waiting for me. Start explaining from the beginning, so I can understand. Emily sighed and started talking.
That man is my affair partner, and these children are his and mine. We couldn't have children, you know. It's not my fault, it's yours. Can you understand the humiliation of a woman who can't have children even after being married for 7 years? You wouldn't understand.
So you had children with that man?
That's right. After all, you didn't even notice, did you?
I had no idea you were such a terrible person.
I'm the one stuck in a mess.
I'm the one who got dragged into this. Even yesterday, that guy was mad because I was the only one who wasn't family. It's all your fault because you cussed this mess. I don't know about that. I haven't heard anything like that. It must be a police mistake. He's not an unreliable person like you, because he's the man I chose. Even though Emily is having an affair, she's too arrogant. Despite being in the position of having an affair, she tries to justify her actions and thinks she's done nothing wrong. I didn't even know what to say anymore. The affair was between you and that man. It has nothing to do with me. Moreover, when it comes to divorce, the one who will be at a disadvantage is you. I'll definitely get alimony from you.
Why do I have to pay alimony? After all, those kids are also children of me and him. They haven't done anything wrong. We just want to raise these two kids purely.
What does she mean by purely wanting to raise them? I've been doing most of the child rearing, and it's truly hopeless that she doesn't understand what's wrong. Look, the reason I'm saying you two are wrong is first, because you had an affair. Even though you had a partner, you had children with another man and pretended they were mine. If you had been officially married to that man, it would have been fine, but you weren't, so it's your fault. I will definitely take the alimony for that. Plus, if that guy was wanted, you would be considered a bad person too. Moreover, if the father of these two kids was really a wanted criminal, they might get bullied as they grow up. Didn't you think about that risk? I was so angry my face twisted.
Shut up. You have no right to talk to me like that.
I was absolutely appalled that Emily wouldn't listen to me at all. I felt embarrassed that I had been with such a person for so long. Maybe I was just wasting my time. Then, surprisingly, the police arrived.
Miss Emily, unfortunately, that man was a wanted criminal. Therefore, we need to hear a bit more from you, so you will be taken to the station now. Okay.
Why me? I don't know anything. I didn't know that man was a wanted criminal, and I haven't done anything.
Can you come to the station for now?
Get going quickly. I don't care about you anymore.
You really are the worst person. I should never have spent my life with someone like you. It really was a waste of time.
I was stunned by those words. Emily was then taken to the police station. Though I felt somewhat relieved, I was still feeling down. Of course, I had spent a fun time raising the kids over this past year, but the shock of learning they were not my own was significant. However, these kids were still precious to me, so I felt conflicted. I couldn't accept it, so I decided to have a DNA test to check. Getting the test was the right decision, because as it turned out, the kids were mine. They were related to me by blood. I was really relieved and moved. Emily probably thought the kids were hers with that man. Emily returned home a few days later and told everything. You're back. It took you quite a long time. Well, it's your own fault, but let me say this. I am the father of these two. I had a DNA test done, and it clearly shows they are my kids. So, that man is not family. He's just an outsider. Emily's face gradually turned pale.
What do you mean? They're not his kids?
No, they aren't, I answered calmly. So, these kids are not the children of a wanted criminal. They are unmistakably my kids. I stated it clearly. Emily seemed frightened and fell silent. Why don't you say something? After all the trouble you've caused us. I couldn't contain my anger and continued. Also, I sent the documents to him, so it's clear that the kids aren't his, they are ours.
Why would you do something like that without telling me? You're really useless. Absolutely unbelievable.
Emily started to get furious. I wondered why she was so angry. Maybe she was still hiding something. It turns out she thought the kids were John's and had been getting living expenses from him. The money I gave was all spent on things she wanted, and she had no savings. She really had no plan for living. I didn't think Emily lacked so much planning. Of course, I had decided to claim alimony from both of them. John would become a debtor even while in prison. I was going to demand alimony from Emily right away and confess everything about the alimony and past events on the day I met John. And the day of the visit came. I took Emily to the prison. It's been a while. Have you been doing well in prison?
Hey. Give back all the child support and living expenses. They're not my kids, right? Why should I pay for someone else's children?
I don't care about that. It was all Emily's doing, and I did nothing wrong. You should be grateful that I even came to talk. Emily looked down, frightened, and couldn't say anything more. I came here today to get the alimony and hospital expenses for me and the kids from you. I will claim alimony and child support from Emily, so remember that.
Why should I pay for your hospital expenses?
That's typical. A guy like you wouldn't understand how I felt when I was punched by someone I didn't even know. To top it off, to be told I'm not family and that you were wanted, it's a huge inconvenience and a terrible burden to have you involved in my life. John fell silent, and understandably so. I was not at fault, and this situation was caused by these two.
But I can't pay because I'm in prison. It was Emily who came on to me, so let her pay.
How can I possibly do that? First of all, where's the proof that I seduced you? It was you who came onto me.
As I watched the argument from the side, I calmly gathered all the documents. You two can handle it from here. With that, I left, although the incident won't be over until all the alimony is fully paid. I felt a temporary sense of calm, and a weight lifted off my chest. How much my heart ached to get to this point, but I kept going every day for the sake of my children. I've come to realize just how significant their presence is. Later, there was a bit of a surprise. Apparently, someone had happened to video John and me fighting at the restaurant. My face was hidden, but John's face was fully visible, and the video was posted on social media, spreading quite widely. The video, titled "Fight at a Restaurant, Wanted Criminal John Arrested," spread widely. Looking back, knowing that the man involved in the restaurant fight was a wanted criminal, and that his arrest was a significant social contribution, might be said. Although my face was hidden, many people left messages of thanks to me on social media. Among them, someone who had been victimized by the wanted criminal found me and later sent me a whopping $100,000. I couldn't believe it at the time. It seemed unreal. But the money did come with a beautiful message saying, "Please live happily with this money. Thank you." To even receive a message, what a wonderful person. Such a stark contrast to those two. I couldn't help but think that, especially in contrast to John, who is a wanted criminal. Well, it was only natural since John was a wanted criminal, but apparently his crime worsened because he hit me. It seems he won't be able to reintegrate into society. As for Emily, she was suspected of committing some crime for being with John, but ultimately, no evidence was found and she was not arrested. However, this incident resulted in her being disowned by her parents and abandoned by her friends, so now she lives quietly somewhere. It doesn't concern me anymore, but after what she did, it's no wonder she was abandoned by her parents and friends. I would abandon a friend like that too. That's the whole series of events I experienced. How about that? Did I manage to entertain everyone? It might have been more frightening than entertaining. But one thing I can say is that I was able to persevere because of my children. I'm fed up with such human relations and thinking maybe marriage isn't so bad, but from now on, I'm going to work hard every day so that my two children can live healthily and happily.